Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the past 3 days from the 8th to the 10th of January for the 1050 to 1052. So day, yeah, day. So a lot of things has happened. I've done a lot of quick updates, and even those actually does not cover everything that I want to talk about. And yeah, but there's a limit to my resources and time. So anyway, and I wanted to do SITREP yesterday, but no, someone in the comments say that yeah, he hit the short updates, then and tell me to scramble off to do the SITREP, and I decided to not do it. I told him that okay, because of your comment, I don't want to do it, so I didn't do it. Yeah, so it was a good excuse to not do it. So anyway, so now I'm doing it because it's 3 days. I cannot drag on anymore. And for those that are that want I would highly recommend people to, of course, support me via YouTube membership on DPA War channel if you want to catch all the quick updates without delay. Yeah, because sometimes I post a lot and I can't publish them all at the same time. So the moment is uploaded, the YouTube members can actually get to see, but only for the DPA War channel, because I'm not going to duplicate multi posts on multiple channels. And over the Kursk front, at the Kursk front, you can see a lot of red icons with the Russians attacking everywhere. So we have to go front by front, and we start off from the western flank. So on the western flank of the Kursk front, Russian forces are attacking at Nikolaevo Darino towards Svetiklovo, Lebedevka, Loknia, and over in this Leonidovo, Novo-Ivanovka region, some major advancement by the Russian forces, as they have, according to Ukrainian mapping, captured Leonidovo and Alexandria. They have captured both of these village, and they have been even geolocated west of Nikoski as the Russians continue to uh, as the Russians break out from the Novo-Ivanovka stalemate. So the Ukrainians have stuck the Russians in this place for a long, long time, but they are unable to keep them there anymore. Previously, the front line was here. The Russians have been stuck here for a very, very long time. They are unable to break out. But now the Russians have break out from this stalemate. And they are now already threatening Viktorovka and Nikoski. So they are attacking in this region. And I believe this is largely to do with the Krulenkoe situation, because the Ukrainians lost Krulenkoe, which is this area here. They lost this forest, and as a result, the Russian forces basically have the northern flank. That makes Ukrainian defense very, very difficult. And the Russians break out from this area, and they have basically entered to Saraya Sorokina and Nikolaevka, and they are also attacking towards Novaya Sorokina. And Malaya Lognia continue to be reported to be under attack, probably from the east. Until now, I still do not have indications that he is from the east. There's no evidence for that, but it's just my speculation, because they keep talking about Malaya Lognia, but the front line is not really close. And with these captures of Leonidovo and Alexandria, the Russian forces can now officially head towards Lognia. So these are all the frontline changes in this sector. The Ukrainians have to depend on this new line of defense along this water body from Lognia all the way to Malaya Lognia. Let's see how the Ukrainians perform from this area here. The Russians are gaining a lot of grounds in Kursk, so it's going to be really difficult. And meanwhile, the Zelensky posted on his Telegram that they have captured 2 North Korean soldiers. They published the photos, the faces. However, they stopped short of showing a video of them speaking in Korean. And I think that is the biggest red flag, because they showed his military, one of the soldiers' military ID, which shows that that soldier is actually from Tuva. Tuva is actually a state or republic just north of Mongolia. So he's a Tuvan, and for Tuvans, I take a look at the images of Tuvans. They look really like Chinese, or no, Mongolians. So really not very convincing. I did a video on this on the main channel, so you can check it out. So yeah, so it is what it is. In the northern flank, Pogrebki also was mentioned, just to note. But yeah, the pressure is coming actually in the south, because this cutoff means the northern part will just collapse. on its own. So this is not as significant as what's happening in the south. Over in the northeast, there is fighting reported over in Chekatskaya Parashnoye, Ruskoye Parashnoye, as well as Kotsitsa. And the Russian forces geolocated at the Kotsitsa region as they flank into Kotsitsa. Russian claims that they have captured Ruskoye Parashnoye. It's not confirmed yet. Until now, we still have no confirmation, but the Russian forces geolocated along this forest as they attack in this way is not on its own indicative of Russian presence in Ruskoye Parashnoye or not. So yeah, that's what it is. So let's continue to wait. This region is also where the Ukrainians previously launched an attack towards Berdin as well as Novosibirsk. So this is where the Ukrainians attacked previously. The front line have not changed tentatively. It still remains around here. Oh, sorry, around here. So the Ukrainian front line is still around here at this moment. I haven't seen any evidence of Russians retaking all these grounds just yet. But definitely, pro-Russian sources are talking about the securing of Berlin already. So that's what it was. Moving further south, we have fighting reported over at Martinovka. And we're not entirely sure where the fighting exactly is at Martinovka. And we have the Russian Defense Ministry mentioning Zazulevka as well as Kazacha Loknia. And it is always possible that the Russians may have just storm across the open field towards these two areas here. It is tentatively not so clear where they are. If you see, this is just open ground. There is no place to hide. Yeah, it's just open ground. So it's not impossible for the Russians to just rush through and land troops along these areas here and start an attack towards Kubaki, Zazulevka, and Kazacha Loknia. It's not impossible. Kubakin was last attacked on the 7th. So this attacks over here is rather consistent. So no, there is a possibility. Not confirmed. Not confirmed. Definitely not confirmed. Over in the Sudja region, or the southern flank. Okay, so southern flank and the Sudja region, Russian forces are now attacking Merne, Agronom. According to Russian sources, they say that they have Russian forces have captured Agronom. I haven't seen the evidence for that yet. Fighting is reported at Sudja, Zamoste, Makhnovka, and Ukraine forces geolocated here, but the message was the description was that they are withdrawing, and the Russians are attacking Malovoy as well as Krylovka. So this is the actions on aggregate for the past 3 days. So the actions are still ongoing. We shall see and know how this continue to play out. But the Russians coming back to Sudja definitely is very disturbing. And it's also important to note that the entire Kursk front is actually pretty cursed for the Ukrainians, because there's actually only one main road that the Ukrainians can use, which is through this main road. And from here, they spread out to all the different front lines. This is how it works. And if the Ukrainians do not use a different line to send reinforcement, then every single reinforcement resupply, every movement by the Ukrainian side is actually pretty visible by the Russians, because the Russians could just simply keep flying drones. So keep flying drones and just circle around here, constantly just watching all the time, even satellite imagery or whatnot. No surveillance drones, OLAN, FPV, all sort of drones they can use to keep monitoring this road, and they basically would have an early warning to Ukrainian activities. So there is these rumors that the Ukrainian offensive towards Berlin was already spotted before they even reached the front line, because they were spotted entering Kursk through this road. That was the rumor from the pro-Russian side. So yeah, so I mean, if you look at the map, yeah, it does make sense, because using the dirt road seems to be really inconvenient. So using the highway makes a lot of sense, but of course, using the road is never tactical. So like when I was still in the military, in basic military training, we are always told not to walk along the road. Never walk on the road. Always at least into the forest at the side of the road. Never in the road. Never on the road. Because when you're on the road, you're just very visible. So over in the Kharkiv front, Russian forces are only attacking at Voschansk and Starissia, and I'll say that the actions here is very minor, so nothing particularly important happened at Kharkiv front. Over in the Voreshna front, Russian forces captured grounds in the eastern part of Voreshna as well as the eastern part of Zapadne. So Russian forces may advance into these two regions as they continue to attack. So at Voreshna, Ukrainian forces was TOS, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, the Russians used TOS. I haven't seen reports of audio location of TOS being used for a long, long time. For those that are not aware what is TOS, TOS is the thermobaric rocket launcher. So basically, they are super high heat explosions which instantly kill everyone in the region, and it's an instant kill weapon. So it's a very, very powerful weapon that used to take out fortifications, and they will just instantly kill everyone in the bunker, in the building. There's no remedy to, like, there's no countermeasures to this. So the Russians may have struck here as they continue to launch an attack into the northern part of Voreshna, and they also have secured the entire eastern part as well, as well as the bridge leading to the eastern bank of the Oskil River. The Russians have a very strong foothold right now over in Voreshna. The battle of Voreshna will continue. Definitely, I think the Russians want this city. So this is something. And in the south, the situation is just as bad. Russian forces, after conquering this forest, they have just taken this other forest on the east of Zapadne. And this is based on Ukrainian mapping. This is not even Russian propaganda. The Russians don't even want to talk about this much. The Ukrainians are the one talking about this because the Russians probably do not want to, tell the enemies anything. So the Ukrainians talk about this. The Russians attacked and taken this forest. In fact, they even went down south and captured this this farm thingy or warehouse thingy in the south of Zapadne, and they are on the verge of attacking Zapadne itself. So I covered this in a quick update, so no, so it might be a repeat for those that have watched that. Over in the Kupiansk front, Russian forces are attacking in multiple regions, in Holubivka, Kusherevka, as well as Petropavlivka. There is reports of fighting at Pishane in the latest Ukrainian Defense Ministry report. Shelling report at Kisharivka as well as Kotlyarivka was mentioned by Ryba, the pro-Russian source, on the 8th. I don't think it matters much. Pishane is interesting, or it was reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. But I think the main action is, of course, still over Kupiansk. This is still largely a pinning operation. I don't think the Russians are pushing very hard over there. And a geolocation of a Russian airstrike over in Kupiansk for Slovy, not important as well. And Russian activities over in Olyanske. So that's all. Nose itchy. Yeah, moving into the Pishani front. I'm not sure why my nose is itchy, but yeah, it happens all the time. So yeah, over the Borova front, and this is also the south of Pishani. Maybe Pishani front is getting more and more irrelevant, but we shall see. Fighting is reported as Darizove, Bohuslavka, Novokryakivka, Lozova, Boriska, Andrievka. So this is a totally new place that is being mentioned. Zelene High, Peshov Trefneve, also known as Stepi now, Kopanki, Nadia, Sverdoklibove, as well as Novoyehorivka. And you can see the entire freaking front line. There is a massive column of arrows. So it's basically one column of arrow going this way, down southwest. So this is a massive operation in this sector. But there's not a lot of information coming out from this area here. So we are waiting for more information like geolocations or Ukrainian mapping to actually reveal more information tentatively. We don't have that. Over in the Makiivka region, fighting is reported in this region. In Makiivka, the Russian forces have continued to secure more grounds in Makiivka, as geolocation shows that they have secured the southwest, as well as heading out of the road from Makiivka, moving in the direction of Kharkivka. So this is the latest update from this area here. The mapping was on the 9th. Over at the Liman front, we have fighting reported at Ivanivka, Terny, as well as Zarishny. But that's about it. We move into the Sivers front. At the Sivers front, this is a pretty quiet front, just like the Kharkiv. We have only Bilohorivka and the Sivers being mentioned, but nothing particularly stands out for me. We move into the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, we have just fighting reported at Orikhovo Vasilivka, Chasivya, Stuposhki, as well as Bilahora. Some geolocation at Stuposhki, which alters the front line slightly. Russian forces in this area, in these foresty patches of land here, at Stuposhki, it's not really forest, but it's just foresty. So no, it's not very foresty, but still very foresty. Over at there's a Lancet hit on the western part of Chasivya. So Lancet is also very rare, like TOS, Lancet now these are very rare. So it's interesting to see the return of all these Russian weapons. Over in the Thorax front, some major developments. So we're gonna split it into two. Over at the Battle of Thorax itself, as well as Srebrenica region, Russian forces, based on Russian mapping, have secured most of Thorax, as well as geolocation confirming some of it, which shows that the Russian forces is on the verge of full capture of the city of Thorax. So this is very, very major in terms of the development. And geolocation of Russian forces entering into Novopassky or Petrivka from Srebrenica. So that's pretty significant as well, which means that the battle for Petrivka or Novopassky has begun. And the Russian, based on Ukrainian mapping, Russian mapping, Russian forces have captured Leonidivka. This is not confirmed by the Ukrainian mapping just yet, but if true, then Russians have secured and captured Leonidivka, which means that the attack on Petrivka will come from two different directions, from the east and from the south. So this is Thorax. Some geolocations, not very important things like FPV drone strikes. Over in the west of New York, that's where some major things happened. Southwest of Leonidivka, Russian forces have captured huge amount of grounds in this sector, as well as towards Sukabalka. The Russian forces capturing all these grounds, and which is a pretty new offensive. This is only reported like yesterday. This is a very, very new report. And the Russian forces are pushing towards Romanivka, Sukabalka, Valentinivka, and this is a totally new offensive. It's unclear whether if this is going to be something sustained, but there is not a lot of things for the Russians to do here. Strategically speaking, the most I think they will just secure up to this point, which is along the gully or the river, and I think they don't really have to go all the way there. Not super important. Strategically, doesn't change anything. And so that's about it for there. Over in the Pokrov northern flank, so in the northern flank of the Pokrov front, Russian forces are still are fighting at Baranivka. They have secured some grounds towards Baranivka. They have captured Vozdevzenka, securing all the grounds west of Vozdevzenka, and they are attacking towards Yelizavetivka, Melanivka, and Vodyane Druhi. So this is the area here. The main objective is the highway exchange here over on the eastern part of Melanivka. Tentatively, that's all we have at this moment. Over in the Mirogred sector, we have fighting reported over at Mariolubivka, Promin, Minograd itself, Sukiya, as well as Lisivka. So, but all these are very not important. These are all pinning operations. I don't think there's any real strong offensive happening except for Lisivka, which is probably on the pincer from both sides, from the Chanske as well as Lisivka. So that's all. Moving into the Pokrov sector, no voice. Over the Pokrov sector, it's going to be like this. At the Pokrov sector, Russian forces attacking at Zeleny, Vorozhenia, Shevchenko, towards Pokrov, Zverove, Pishchany. And I would just want to say, this area here has been stagnant for a long time. It's very interesting that it's stagnant for a long time. Maybe this area is just a pinning operation. Some updates of front line at the western part of Pischane. Russian forces captured some grounds. Fighting at Vovkove towards Kotline. Russian forces captured Solone and have a good buffer on the north and the northwest of Solone. Fighting is still at Novovasilivka, Uspenivka, and Novo-Alexandrivka, Novo-Alexandrivka, and they are now pushing from Solone towards Udashne. So that's the main gist. With the main direction actually is this northwestern direction part, aiming to cut the highway either at Kotline or at Udashne, or maybe on the east of Kotline. So this is the main action around here. So if you zoom in, you can see that the distance is not much. This area here is just 1 kilometer. The Russians are now attacking in this direction. And I'm not sure if the Ukrainians can hold the ground in this area here. Moving on, over in the southern flank of the Pokrov front, fighting is reported at Nadievka, Novo-Yelizavetivka, what is this place called? Script Bay, right? Yeah, Scripne, Novo-Andrievka, Yesinove. Russian forces geolocated to have entered Yesinove from the east, which also captures Ukrainka, as the front line continued to move, with Russian forces making advance over Slovianka and are capturing all of these grounds. So this is a separate operation which flanks southward, moving in the direction of Andrievka. If you go south, Andrievka is here. So this is a flanking operation down south towards the north of Andrievka. So it's a separate operation, I would say. Over in this Kurakove front, or it's going to become an Andrievka front at this rate. But no, it's still a bit big, so we're just going to keep to Kurakove for now. So Russian forces captured Petropavlivka. There's still Sansivka was mentioned. Russian forces securing the north of Shevchenko. There is this frontline update that shows Russian forces pushing in the direction of Andrievka from Shevchenko. Fighting is reported at Dashne. Securing of the road between Starityrny and Kurakove was noted, and so this area continued to be developing. This is one of the major offensive operations by the Russians right now. So it's interesting because this mapping by Deep State UA, the Russians pushing in a straight line down the road towards Andrievka. So some of these geolocation are FPV drones try hitting Ukrainian forces. Yeah, the Ukrainians are definitely defending this area for sure. Over at the Constantinople front, we have fighting reported in the north of Konstantinopolske, Yantarne, Zelenivka, Constantinople, as well as Roslev. There is a bridge east of Constantinople that was destroyed by Russian attack by the Air Force, and there is also a push towards Bahatir, but not that important. They're still very far away. Geolocation of a tank getting destroyed by FPV drone south of Roslev. So that's all. Moving into the Velika Novosilka front, fighting is reported at Rozdone, Velika Novosilka, and then I did want to zoom in. Velika Novosilka, Blahodatne, Storozeve, Snikushne, Vremivka, Novosilka, and then over on the western part there is Temerivka. So all these frontline changes here is Russian claims. These are not confirmed mapping, but if it's true, then the Russian forces basically have tightened the noose around Velika Novosilka, as the Russian forces are strangling the Ukrainian forces in this region here to force them into a withdrawal northwestward. Because they can't go northward, Novi Koma is under Russian control, so the only way is northwest. But the Ukrainians are doing their best to defend. Geolocation of TOS blowing up Ukrainian defenses. So the Russians are getting very serious. They bring out the big burning missiles, so burning rockets. So that's very dangerous. Once TOS start to be used, usually defense line collapse pretty quickly. Because there's no way, no one will want to go and defend. No one is going to replace the barbecued soldiers in those trenches. Like they're not going to do it, because then they go there, then they'll just send another rocket And yeah, it's just a demoralizing weapon. And and then there is this impossible salient is now closed, according to Ukrainian mapping, uh, towards Novosilka. Generally, the front line, the main action is still around Velikan Novosilka. Everything else around here is not that important for now. And we move into the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, at the Orikhiv sector, there we have the usual with fighting reported at Mala Tomashka. This on the 8th, so it's just a one-off. And at Novo Andrievka, this was launched on the 9th, also one-off. So you can see that Zaporizhia is definitely, the front line is definitely very, very quiet. At Kayamsky, the Ukrainians have some success. Ukrainian forces captured more of the southern half of Kayamsky. However, they also got geolocated to be struck by Russian troops as they continue to try to hold this rare advancement by the Ukrainians over this Kayamsky region. So that's all from Kayamsky. And shelling is reported at Stepnohurst reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, not very important. And we move into the Kherson front. At the Kherson front, we have the fighting reported at Kozatsky Island as well as Zabish Island. So these two islands got attacked. There is also the general report of fighting along the Dnipro sector, but that's all. Shelling is reported at Antonivka, Pridniprovsky, as well as Ponyativka. The Russian Defense Ministry yesterday did a weekly report, so there's no SITREP of the Ukraine side of the Ukraine war by the Russian Defense Ministry yesterday. So that's something to note. But they did mention Kursk as a separate report, so I have the Kursk one. So that's about it. So this is the entire SITREP or the summary for the day of 1000 to 1050 to 1052 for the 8th to the 10th of January. So thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. SITREP from now on may not be daily. I still considering and see how I manage my time. It may be 2 days, every 2 days or every 3 days. I try to do daily if I can. Really depend on how I manage my time on the day-to-day basis. But otherwise, I will try to do the quick updates or so that you get the latest information and the headlines, the titles, and the focus is a bit more straightforward rather than wait for the SITREP, which I cover a lot of things and then you get overwhelmed by a lot of information. But I'm sure that the Giga chats will love it. They will still love the SITREP. And yeah, but I think the quick updates is a good addition. Some information might be repeated when I do the SITREP or the frontline changes report, but no, bear with it. But that's just I can't just ignore information just because I mentioned it in a separate video. So anyway, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and also like I said, consider becoming a member for DPA War. This year is a very important year for DPA. A lot of plans, but not enough money. So and a lot of cost, a lot of overhead for me as well because I moved house. So anyway, just help me support my work, and I'll see you guys in the next update.